I love how you said that, control input, because
Yeah.
I think what you said has been said, and I've heard it many times before, like reduce your trades. But saying control your input, that hits differently for me at
Right.
least.
And in trading, if you're not taking action, your job is to wait and not overthink.
Hesitation really does kill. So it's, you have the stimulus and you have your response, and whatever happens between it is where you fuck up.
And I thought forever not having rules in place made me a better trader because I can control myself.
Like it, yes. It has got me looking at points versus dollars, which I like. I've never been able to do that. I don't know why. I've always looked at my P&L, but now I'm not. I'm just looking at the movement.
That sounds like a major shift.
A major shift. And if all this does is get me to do that, I'm happy.
This is Behind the Charts podcast, where real traders have real conversation. Welcome back to the pod, everybody. It is episode 11, and I'm pretty sure, as we're speaking, our episode with Lawrence is crossing 1,000 views. So that's pretty cool. This, our whole goal with the podcast was really just to be able to have these kind of open discussions and not make it about an interview, but rather a conversation, because I find the conversations are where people relate so much more, and they feel like, oh, that happened to me. And it's just on a more relatable scale when there's a couple people talking and it's not such an interview. So with that being said, we got Christian Williams today on the pod. We were introduced a couple months ago, me and Randy, to him through Austin, and in a marketing group, and just a group that we were all working on some trading business stuff. So you really stood out as somebody who you got some wisdom too. You like thinking about this. That's like that, and that's what we want to have on this podcast. So welcome and thanks for being on, Christian. How are you doing today?
Yeah, thank you. Yes, thank you for having me. I'm doing pretty good. I appreciate what you're saying. I definitely agree. When it comes to, pretty much anything I've done in life, I like to look at things a little bit differently. But that's just the byproduct of me kind of just having that analytical mind, if you will. But trading, it can be very technical, and there's a million different ways to look at this. So I feel like perspective and conversations is how people can find their own understanding of it the best.
I love that. I just looking at your background, for anyone, it says Gentle Monster. What does that mean?
Oh, so basically I got these glasses. It's a brand, but they're like, do you want another bag? I'm like, sure. So I just have it back there. I like to whether it's, if you see anything on my Instagram, I try to make stuff look nice. So when it comes to designing stuff, I'll have a bunch of different things that either are personal to me or things that you can't necessarily get, whether it's just rare or just a random find. I like doing subtle things like that. It just ultimately, if you don't make your space your own, you're not going to ever really feel present there. You'll feel like you're at a job, if you will. So I'm very big on that. My last office, I painted entirely black. I just do things like that because it makes me more able to focus on what I want to do.
I love that. Cool. We haven't actually talked about trading, where you actually work out of and how important your space is. And it's funny because we sometimes work with people like Rebecca, for example. We've talked about her. She trades from her kitchen because she's a mom and she has to watch her kids. And then, when I'm in Mexico, I trade from my bedroom and I dislike it. But when I'm in Canada, I have an office space and I love it. And it's we've never talked about how important the space is to you or to each individual trader and how much that can affect their day.
It's really everything. So even down to so in my last office, just to kind of, give a little backstory, I had a lot of windows, and the way the windows face really impacted where I could put my screen because I would get a ton of glare. I couldn't see it. And I had white walls in there. So it was really, really bright. My eyes would hurt. So I would try to mitigate that, move the desk, do all that. And ultimately it's just to give myself a better edge. If I'm distracted by the heat, or even I had my computer by my window in my last office and it would overheat. I have a little Mac Mini that would just start, you hear the fans going and it's 120 degrees, you touch it or whatever. Yeah, that's something that will distract you from trading. If your Wi-Fi is spotty, it's going to distract you from trading. If you don't have a set routine with all that, it's going to be really hard to just kind of hop in your office and get to it,
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I just experienced it for myself, like on this little tangent of before I moved to this house a couple months ago, I was trading out of my kitchen. And I was just talking about it with my girlfriend. We were like, I used to be so bothered by the dirty dishes in the kitchen the night before. I would always be like, oh, this has got to be put away. We left the keys on the counter and it would just be distracting. And now I got like a little space and it's like, come in here. You're like, all right, this is my space. I'm trading. And then when you leave, or it's like, something she tells me to do if I get distracted, just leave the office.
Yep.
You just separate yourself and the power of space. Really, really nice. And Randy, I know you're just feeling sick, so we'll skip out on Randy on a few of these as he's just a bit under the weather.
Honestly, you guys are talking about it, and I'm just thinking about when I started trading. I had I went out and bought a new computer and a dual monitor setup. Like I made sure like I had technology on my side, but I had like a little. It wasn't even a computer desk. It was some sort of desk I had just to look pretty when I moved into my place and like kind of like what would have been my office. And now I look at my desk is like 5 feet wide. Everything is where it exactly should be. Like it's just when I think about it, it's crazy that I tried to do what I do now from something that wasn't practical, if that makes sense. And it just goes, it goes to show. Now you can see, obviously, like Christine and Thomas know this office has transformed over the last year and a half. And now it's like, it's my space and I actually get compliments on it. And one of the things on a side note, what got me even closer with Christian was his creativity. And when I first got into making content with trading, I was watching Christian make his content and it was just so unique but so real and not like the same repetitive sped up stuff that people just keep putting up the same thing. And it was so that's how me and Christian became friends. I would reach out to him for advice on YouTube and Instagram and whatever. So in the space, if you want to follow somebody that's super creative making their content, you make sure you go give Decipher the Algo a follow, because it's even if you're not into trading, it's cool to watch and just follow along with. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
That's awesome. Randy, you have to post a picture of your desk, because your desk is one of the like cleanest spaceship type setup I've ever seen. So you have to post a picture now that we're talking about it.
I will for sure. I'll put it in the notes in the comments.
Yeah.
I look at it this way. Yeah, you when it comes to creativity, you get to do whatever you want. Like honestly, when it comes to trading, it's your own business. You can be as technical with it or as simple as you want. There are people who like to have 25 screens, and that's a stylistic choice. It's not necessarily a technical choice. They don't need it. They want it. It makes them feel like a better trader, and maybe it gives them more info or whatever. But there's people who love trading on a laptop because it makes them feel like a better trader because they have less to focus on. It's all about the mindset of it. And I think that's where a lot of my content will come from. I come up with something that's on my mind. I don't like really write scripts or anything. And I just speak to that. And that's what connects with people, because I'm thinking if I'm experiencing something, or if I can reflect on something I've been through and I could put that into some sort of just like one take message, it will normally connect with more people than me trying to be like all proper and figure out like the most, attention getting hook and all this stuff. It's you just be real. And ultimately that's what people value the most.
Yeah. It's super authentic, which is not necessarily a quality that comes with a lot of trading influencers. Believe it or not. It's hard to like suss out who's authentic or not. You can't, you don't just say you're authentic and you believe that person, but usually you can tell after consuming some of their content. Sometimes you can't. I'm a gullible person, so it takes me a really long time to figure out if someone's full of shit or not. But there's not a lot of people that are, how do I say that are not full of shit in the trading community. Most of them are, which sucks. So it's nice to just come from a place of realness and being authentic to who you are, and not just putting the content out to gain something, but to just put it out because you're trying to give something.
I mean,
so moving on with that exact topic though, like just for like the audience to understand you a little bit more, Christian, like at what point in your trading journey did you cross the profitability threshold? And then just, was it with personal or was it with prop firms? Because I know it's very different for both.
So that's a good question. I was answering this yesterday on this little Asia live stream I did. I said at like a year and a half, like I had it kind of figured out, but then I continued to lose money because of how I was acting towards the market, not necessarily like a technical edge. So it took longer than it needed to. I can figure stuff out pretty quick. I knew how to have like pretty decent winning days, but I would just go into such severe drawdown and just like over trading that it would just perpetuate that cycle of trying to get out of the initial drawdown. When it comes to funding, I started with personal cash. I started with cash accounts, trading options for, first couple, maybe like first 3 years in total, maybe a little bit longer. And then I learned about prop firms, but it wasn't something that I initially moved towards. I had no idea what a prop firm was until, I mean, honestly, it feels like 2 days ago. Like it was really not that long ago where I first learned about prop firms, which is good and bad. You'll lose money either way. Sometimes it's better to lose money that's attached to like, buying an account versus in your bank account. It's a little bit different when you have to like pay rent and you're using your rent money to trade or something of the nature compared to what people can do now where they can trade against debt but not lose hard cash. That's how I look at it. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't change it. I enjoy the way I started for sure.
And so approximately how many years was it? How many, like, because I understand at first it's technical.
Year 3, I started to have some really good time. But I will go through phases where I just will have a bad month, and it's just like, okay, that'll take me a little bit to work my way out of. It's you never get past it. At least I haven't yet. Like I will still have days that just completely sideline me, but it's not necessarily from a technical standpoint. It's from like getting like too obsessed with an idea, getting too fixated on an outcome, and kind of like forgetting, like losing the plot, if you will. But yeah, it was like year 3 where I'm starting to take some payouts or like withdrawal, if you will. And yeah, there's just been times where even past that, you kind of just get into a slump. It's never really been a market thing. It's always been something happening in life around me that kind of dictates that the most. I have traders that I would mentor for a little bit, and they would describe trading their account like a punching bag because they have a really stressful job. And I'm like, I get that. Like I can see where that comes from. And like I can relate to some of my bigger losses being from that kind of thing. But yeah, year 3, it could go a lot faster for people though if they just accept the process of positive expectancy and limiting trade executions, and it's real simple stuff, guys.
Let's get into that.
I have a theory. Sorry, I have a theory that option traders, when they come into the future space, take less time. Because it might not be real, but that I've talked to so many people that they're like, oh, I've only been trading futures for a year and I'm profitable or whatnot. And then they pop up in a conversation. They're like, but I trade options. I traded options for however many years. And I'm like, oh, like the option traders are coming into futures and doing fairly well. And I'm like, what is it about options? Now it's got me thinking I need to go trade options because I'm not profitable futures yet, but I swing trade. So I'm like, why don't I learn options? Will that all of a sudden make me a better futures trader? Maybe I'll attempt it and I'll report back. But I do hear a lot of people trading options and they seem to be doing well in the future space after they make the switch over.
It's a great observation. There's definitely reason for that to be the case. It's timing. With options, you have to be pretty on point with the entries. You start to learn when are slow times of the market. You really start to hone in on that first hour with volatility, especially with options contracts. You have all the Greeks, the boring stuff, but basically when volatility and volume start to die out, especially in the options contracts, you will run into issues of contracts losing value while the stocks might be moving in your favor. So it's you're betting on speed, not speed and how extreme it's going to be. You're betting on the volatility itself. You're not betting on is it going up or down. You're betting on it's going to go up really, really fast or down really, really fast.
Right. Very cool. So do you trade the first hour? Is that your like deal?
Yeah, I mean, I've traded the first hour for as long as I can remember. Yeah. This year, I've definitely traded Asia a lot more than I've ever. And it worked kind of slow in the beginning, worked really great for a while. And then I hit a huge brick wall when we had that huge VIX drop off from like 54 down to like 18 in like 8 weeks or something. It was the biggest decline in VIX, which is the volatility index for anyone who might not be familiar. It just refers to decreasing ranges in a sense. With options, it means something a little bit different. But with that volatility collapse, markets just started to consolidate and just really chew up traders. And if there's no range, there's no money to be made. So
Wow.
yeah, it was an interesting experience because we've had a lot of things this year that have happened that have never really happened ever. So it's been a lot of new stuff for me. But with that being said, it's like I went from trading one micro ES at the most volatile time and making a couple $100, like $500 with a couple of them, down to like, needing to use like 30 of like micro NQ. It just, the volatility was so tight that like you needed size. So it was an adjustment though. Yeah.
It felt like for a while there, the Asian session felt like the New York session when we had like max volatility. I was loving it because I couldn't trade. The New York session was just too volatile. So you go to the Asian session, you're getting the action of the New York session minus everything that was going on earlier that day. So I found what Christian was saying, I found it super interesting, and I was doing it for a while too. And then that's one of those things. Now, if you don't know how to trade the Asian session, it'll get you so fast. It'll stop you out 5 times on the same idea and then just take off on you.
Yeah, there's a lot of good, small tips that I've come up with over that time of like having a really nice run up and then also like nuking it essentially, that I've been able to kind of keep and put into my tool belt, which is nice. With Asia, it's not about having the tightest risk reward. It's about giving it room to work. Not caring about size. You're betting on just direction in general. It's probably going to go that way if you have a good bias. And if you don't, probably stay out. But yeah, with New York, you can have a lot tighter risk and all that stuff. But I think the most important thing is when it comes to trading different regimes or different market cycles or different narratives, it's all about the transitions. The transitions between those phases are where most people will wipe out. That's where I historically will wipe out when we go from a range to a trend. If we look at ES or NQ, it's been sideways for, I don't know, a handful of days. And then today we're starting to get that trend day. If I'm over here trying to revert to the, I'm trading reversals and trying to do a mean reversion trade, it's not going to work in my favor. It's just going to keep just chewing me up. So transitions are really important for traders to identify.
Yeah, love that.
Let's talk a little bit about trade management, because I feel like trade management is one of those areas that every new trader struggles in. You have so many questions to answer with your system of, are you full in, full out? Are you trailing stops? Are you locking a stop? Are you going to lock a stop with any money on the table? And then you just go into the whole uncertainty thing. Are you going to pull it before your target? There's so many little loopholes to go down here. I just want to kind of open up the conversation, start with, how do you manage your trades and what are some of the tactics that you have found to be really advantageous to your strategy?
Great question. I think some of the best trading I can do is when I'm actively trailing a stop loss, meaning that when it's moving in profit above a certain threshold, right? So if a market's moved, I don't know, maybe like half of what your stop is, it's still undecided if it's going to work. So once it starts like showing that it's more than likely going to run towards your target, probably start doing something like a prior bar low or prior bar high trail, where you're just kind of following it on whatever entry time frame you're on. That's a good way to ensure that you're always, especially in like, some of the pro accounts, if you see those for top one, they have the intraday trailing drawdown. You don't want to have a high unrealized watermark and then it pulls back to break even. That's a huge one. And it's some of your equity curve will look the best if you do that. Some of the areas where I think the worst type of trade management would be is, especially in a session like Asia where it can fake you out. If you see a big move in your direction, you're probably good to just call it there regardless of your target, because it might just start to pull back. And definitely don't do like a break even, because you'll break even so much in Asia. New York, you can go break even, which is, I think it's fair, but Asia will almost always hit you break even, maybe work, maybe not. So I find for those types of sessions, maybe just leave it all or nothing. But yeah, for most people, don't touch your stop as much as you want to, give yourself time to actually win or lose, instead of saying, oh, I'd just rather be break even. Then don't take the trade. If you don't want to be in the market, you don't have to take the trade. But yeah, most people, myself included, and that's where I get a lot of these lessons. I go, if I'm thinking this, more people are probably thinking this as well. Moving to break even, it's almost always some sort of either greed or fear. There's no other reason to do it like obsessively. do it when it's like, I guess I can move it to break even. But other than that, yeah, just kind of let it work.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was just gonna say I'm on even the same with like moving your stop to break even, unless you're up on a trade on the day or something and you have a reason, like you're preserving your capital, we'll move it to break even. But if it's your first trade and you're entering something, moving your stop to break even and taking a donut on it's just gonna your confidence and conviction is gonna take a hit, and it's gonna spill into the next trade and the next trade and the next trade.
So then what do
Yeah.
you think about this? If you're down on a trade, let's say you took one, maybe half your daily loss, how do you go about the next trade? Are you trying to get back to neutral? Are you trying to get into profit? Or what is your goal for that next trade if you do take it?
I love that you asked this question because this exact thing happened to me today. So
Mhm.
this week I've been playing with my trade management, and my risk settings are set on Project X. Like I got hard rules now. There's no more, I don't need to set this risk setting. I can
Oh, yeah.
manage this on my own. If I want to take a fourth trade, I'll be able to handle it. So I got 3 trades max. I got a max daily loss limit, and I got a max daily profit limit. Today I hit my first trade was a winner. My second trade was a loser, so I was basically back at 0, and I had 1 trade left. And what I was doing before on my second trade I took after a losing trade, I'd cut my size in half just to mitigate.
Mm,
If I lost again, mitigate that loss. Today I went in with full size because
mm,
I'm looking at the P&L and it's basically 0. And I'm like, I'm just going to be down 150 on this trade. Now, thinking in hindsight, I said to Christine, I said, I should have just went half the size. If anything, I would have made a little bit of money, a small green. If not, I would have just been down 75. So I would have cut my losses for the day in half versus taking another full loss. And it's not like I was going to and the way the market trended today, I probably would have ended up ending a great day.
yeah.
But just, it just goes to show, but this is like the whole process. Like right now, I keep saying the word discovery. I'm in a little bit of a
Mm,
discovery phase with trade management, and I'm doing a scalping strategy, still using my VWAP and the levels I look at, but just more of a scalping going for 3 points. So I'm in a little bit of discovery mode, but it's like every day something. This week has been the max profit first day,
mm,
small green Tuesday, max loss Wednesday, small red today. I'm still up 1,500 on the week. I got
mm.
one more day if I want to trade. So it's like all these things that I didn't think were going to help me are helping me. Now I just got to tweak them and fine tune them. And now I made a hard rule. If I take a third trade, no matter if the P&L is green or red, I'm only trading half the size.
Yeah.
That's it. Like I'm not trying to revenge trade to get the loss back if I'm down. And
Mm,
if I'm up, if I make 2 or a point and a half on my trade, that's icing on the cake. I'm already up. So I just got to reframe it and look at it that way, I think. But that's kind of how I'm going about it. And I'm glad that you said that, Christian, because it happened to me today, right?
I mean, that's where we figure out all this stuff. It's from experience, and with management, I can tell you the amount of times. At this point, I'm pretty detached from anything trading related. Like, it's not too much of a concern, so I can actually see it. Like, I'm looking at someone else's like trades. I notice that there will be very few things that can greatly determine whether or not you're in profit or like red, like minor things. I mean, like moving a stop 2 minutes too early. Or for
Mhm.
me, one thing I can think of over the last handful of months, the amount of times that I've been down, let's just say $300 to $500, and I don't take the $300 to $500 on my next trade, it will snowball into something just much worse. Like that's like one habit that if I just simply anytime I have a red trade, just neutralize it on the next one, not try to make more, I'll be fine. But for whatever reason, that's just one. Like, and we'll all have them. We'll all have maybe we move our profit target too far or something on a winning trade, and then you're like, oh, let me give it room when it comes back to break even. Then you take the full stop. Those little things, those are the things that people kind of got to consider. Discovery never really ends with trading because markets never really stop changing. You know,
Mhm.
you'll have different cycles, different regimes, you'll have different news drivers that matter. Earnings season. Right now we have like post war scare kind of, you know, and ambivalence of the market where it's kind of just going higher, which is nice. I like to see it, but it makes for a weird day trade this week. I'll say that for sure.
Mhm. Though, I want to go into the risk part a little bit more because that's actually what I've been doing for the
Mm,
last, 6 or 8 months, which is I take on average 2 trades a day,
mm,
probably even more 1 trade a day. but my max loss is 2 trades worth, 2 full stop losses.
Right.
And generally for me, like if I take 2 losing trades in a day back to back, like I'm just out of the pocket. I'm not feeling it. So that's why I have that there. But what you make me think is like, yes, it is true that when I do take that first loss, that greed creeps in, and I do want to take a larger winner on the second trade than the first loss to be net green. Normally I don't give into that, and I just take the regular trade and just end up break even. But for someone else who's doing, these same risk settings, is when you brought it up, do you see something wrong or like a flaw with having, basically a 2 trade like stop out where that's your full max loss?
No, I don't. I think having less trades on the book per day is way better because you have to think about it in terms of session types. Obviously today we had a trend higher. I call this when it's like it's like up and like glued to the top of the screen. Where if you trade reversals, you shouldn't take 10 trades today because you'll make 0 winning trades. If you take 1 trade per day, however, over 10 days, it's not going to be 0 for 10 because one of those days will have that sell off. Just speaking from a purely statistical perspective, not every candle goes up on the daily chart. You will get that reversal. But in a specific day, especially the same type of idea, you kind of want to maybe the first trade, it was your early or something, you got stopped out, but your underlying bias is still right. Go for it. But yeah, limiting trades, I've always been big on, especially with options. That's what you learn. You learn how to take less trades because most people are trading with a cash account where you only get whatever your buying power is. It's not like you can spend, if you have a $5,000 account, once you purchase $5,000 in options throughout the day, even if you still have the $5,000, you don't have that purchasing power for the day because that would technically be margin the way it works. So you learn how to take less trades, but yeah, I would say most of my worst trading will come from just trying to take too many trades. I'll see something, maybe I'll see people on Twitter. I'm like, wait, people can take this many trades and it seems to work for them. Let me try that out. Spoiler alert, it don't work. It don't work. Not for everybody, at least. It does not work for me because you'll incur so many bad habits by trying to take more trades. You never really benefit by giving yourself more leash, so to speak. You'll end up just hanging yourself at the end of the day. So stick with the 2 trades. Maybe it's 3, after a certain point, maybe was 2 really different than 4. It's the same thing. You just might give yourself a little tiny bit more leeway, but you don't want to be like, I need to try to get the AM, the PM, the lunch,
yeah, for sure.
You're all good on that. But yeah, I will definitely, co-sign on just sticking to the doing less because that's why we get into trading. So we have more time to do the things we actually enjoy. No one got fulfillment by staring at a chart all day. That's for sure.
Yeah. Christine, how are you feeling? Because now you're taking a few more trades because you're doing a little bit more of a scalpy approach.
More of a
with
dirty scalper approach.
Yeah. I wrote that though the other day. I was like, I kind of like being a dirty day trader. Like I want to be in and out quickly like that. Like I enjoy that.
Yeah. At heart, I've always been a dirty scalper, and I've learned different strategies, right? To not be that per se, but really you got to go back to what your heart wants. So I am in it's no surprise. I am playing with my management. I have not picked my thing. I don't, I think I'm close, but I don't have a very specific strategy, and I don't have a very specific way to manage my trades. I am in what Randy said, a discovery phase of that. So recently I've narrowed down my entries to VWAP entries. And then now what I'm doing is scalping those entries. So a 3-point stop loss, trying to trail my stop to 3 points. So far, I can't really speak to the results of it. I've only done it for over a week. And that's just not enough time. But mentally, there are reasons why I like it. It's easier on my mindset. I don't feel as bad sitting in a trade for 15 minutes, half an hour. Taking a 3-point stop on 5 micros is $75. That's easy to handle for me. So mentally, I like it. it has got me looking at points versus dollars, which I like. I've never been able to do that. I don't know why. I've always looked at my P&L, but now I'm not. I'm just looking at the movement.
That sounds like a major shift.
A major shift. And if all this does is get me to do that, I'm happy, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I don't end up scalping for 3 points my whole entire career, but now I look at the chart in points, not ticks, points.
That's how you make it a skill, you know?
Yeah.
That's how it becomes a skill. And it's like, okay,
Yes.
I can, you know, shoot it from this far. I can, you know, hit the ball from wherever.
Exactly.
That's how I learned. I was taught that way.
And think about like scaling up. I don't ever have to, 3 points is 3 points no matter how much size you're in. It's just that at the end of the day, your dollar amount changes. But the actual way I trade, looking at points, is instead of attaching that to a dollar number, the amount it moves is going to be the same no matter what size I'm trading. And that's a big deal for future. You know, I'm planning to be in this for a long time. I want to be in this for a long time. I need to plan that out. So it's definitely been interesting. I do have the problem. I moved to stop to break even today too quickly. It went like up to the moon. Who knows what I could have made on it. I know it's not the only move out there. There's always another day. But yeah, just trying to figure out when to move my stops, when to trail, how close I trail them. There's that. I don't, and this is where I disagree with Randy, I don't subscribe to the 3 trades a day. I would not put that on myself. I've tried that. And basically trying to contain myself in that way doesn't work because I always break my rules if I try to place that rule. What I do like is having a max daily loss. So if I happen to hit that in 3 trades, well, I only get 3 trades anyways. I've hit my max daily loss. I have to use top 1 futures account. So it stops me out and locks me out. I can't do that on my own yet. But I like the idea of having, 3 losses and you don't take any more trades, because after 3 losses, you're on the wrong side.
You're beat up.
You're just
if
wrong.
You went 1 for 4. You still feel like shit.
Yes. Even 2 is not enough for me, because I find for me to fill out the market, I have to be in the market. So sometimes those trades help me discover really what I want to be in. But yeah, 3 losses and you're just like, there's no point. You're just wrong for that day. You can't change your mind. You came in with a bias. The bias is wrong. Come back another day. That's.
Oh, no, I was going to say, I have it set up like that, Christine, just so that, because I know myself, if I had 2 winners and I was just sitting in front of the market and it was just taking off and I wanted to be in and I just couldn't control myself.
Right.
If I took that 3rd trade and it was a loser, I know that I'm going to lose $150 because my stop is set. So at the end of the day, I will do some damage to my gains, but then I'm locked out. Yeah. If I had the option to take the 4th one and I'm still a little bit green, and now I've given back some of my money, there's not a chance in hell that I'm going to walk away from the desk. I'm going to go back to the market and I'm going to take back what it took from me. And that's not what's going to happen in reality. We all know what's going to happen in reality, but I'm just telling you how I think. Like, don't think, you're going to win this battle. Like, I'm going to take what you just took from me. And then I'll just, instead, I'll give it all back. Right. Yeah. So that's why I just noticed this week, like when I look at the way the days unfolded, it just shows me that I'm at a point in my journey where I just need the emotional aspect of trading for me is the hardest thing, but my whole life, my emotions have controlled everything. Like my subconscious, all these things that happened to me in my life have been in the driver's seat forever. And I did not realize that until I started trading, until I met you guys and these things. Cause I was just so, I don't know, fight or flight and, tunnel vision, put my head down, just looked forward and went through life like that, not realizing the damage I was doing to myself and people around me. Coming into trading, I'm by myself at the desk. And I just, if I have that same motto, I'll just put my head down and throw trades take trades and hopefully come out green. If not, come out red, but just bottle it up and walk away and walk out the office with a smile on my face. Right. So that's the reason I need these. It's almost, I have an addictive personality. I have a compulsive personality. I have all these things, right? And then at the top of it, I'm older and I'm starting something new. So I want to come out successful. I've done things in life and been successful. And so I can't let the market defeat me. So it's like, it's even talking about it's making my you know, like I just feel like my adrenaline's just like I'm getting, you know, quite like just passionate about it, right? So it's just I need to have, and I thought forever not having rules in place made me a better trader because I can control myself.
Yes.
Right? I have a on a quick side note, I cut back. I used to drink not quite a bit, like 2 or 3 nights a week before I started trading, and I cut that down to like maybe, you know, 2 or 3 times a month. But I have a liquor cabinet that's got like probably 1,000 bottles of liquor.
Damn.
And before I would be like, I want to have a drink, I would just go pour a drink. And now it's like I tried doing that with trading, like controlling it in the aspect of like I can have it in front of me. I can have the chart open. I can have an available account to trade, a funded account or challenge account, and I can trade it and I can control what I'm gonna do. I can't. I did it on Friday. I blew that Tradeify challenge account. Just
Right.
sizing up, right? Like so it just for me, that's the reason like
Yeah.
I have so many, and I'm starting to see this week it just unfold why I need to have these in place. And when I trade personal capital, I might not get the option with whatever platform or broker I'm using that I can do
I
these things.
didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't
Thomas
have
didn't,
that.
right? So
Yeah. But hell, Reddy, thanks for sharing all
yeah,
that. That's
sorry.
I mean, no, but that's the beauty of this podcast is like it's just so authentic, and then you get to see the differences between Christine and
Mhm.
Randy, and then how like there's so much more that goes into trading, and you know, it's really just such a complex thing. And there was something I heard you saying to on a podcast, Christian, and like I feel like it's just another thing that's just so relatable. I don't know if it was a friend or a student of yours, but you said like he was great with analysis. Like he had the whole thing marked up, fantastic analysis. But when it came down to the executions, it wasn't there. What'd you tell him? And like how and you know if he's fixed it now.
So, you know, kind of lean back into the point that Randy made about like addictive personalities that, you know, that student fits that to a T in the sense of like, you know, just the very gambling type, very intelligent, hard worker, studious, right? Like just dialed in. But when it comes to like, he would talk about like, I just feel my adrenaline like on every trade. I'm like, you're reinforcing that. I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, like, are you taking caffeine, any stimulants or anything like that? And he's telling me and all this. He's like, oh, yeah, and I smoke too. I'm like, yeah, you got to stop all that, you know, all of that. It's not going to benefit you because you can create these dopamine feedback loops, especially with any sort of like stimulants or any sort of things like that, where the anticipation of an outcome, an uncertain outcome, aka gambling, will produce more dopamine than a certain, you know, expected outcome. Meaning you're more likely to think you see things that aren't there. So that's why I always tell people limit the trades. It's not about the idea that 3 trades actually makes you a better trader. It's the idea that, you know, even in it's a book by Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. Controlling inputs. That's a big part of it. It's controlling inputs. So you really look at it that way. If you control your ability to take trades by limiting what your criteria is for picking them, you're going to have better outcomes. You know, like you can't really get too far off track with your diet if you're only eating mostly protein. Like it's just you'll probably be fine. It doesn't even matter what it is. But if you're going and eating, you know, like I have some chips in the house, it's like you open a bag, it's like half the bag's gone after just like opening it. So that stuff will add up, especially with your trading. It's real easy to go have some junk when it comes to executing. But when it comes to him, I would just tell him the same things over and over. It is the same things that will change your trading the most. You know, when Randy talks about limiting alcohol, I did 75 hard for pretty much like 2 years. I didn't drink for 2 years at least. And you feel great. You wake up fine. Your energy's way more in line. Your mood is way more stabilized. You feel sharper. But yeah, everything comes in phases. You know, I definitely will agree with Randy where whether I seem like it or not, I'm an extremely emotionally charged person. I just come off kind of flat, but no, I definitely do think with emotions, that's what helps drive me in businesses in the past. Like, because you can work hard. If you're opening a gym, running a gym, you can be just a maniac and it will work. Not with trading. It won't. It literally will not. It's incompatible. You cannot be insane and have logical decisions with trading. But, you know, it's just how some of us are wired.
So do you suppress those emotions when you're at the desk? Do you embrace them? Do you use them? Like how do you navigate that?
In the beginning, it was really, really, really hard. I used it because, like, I used in the sense that I needed to make trading about like achieving like a purpose. So I'm like, that's
Mhm.
what helped me stick to it. Otherwise, in the beginning, like it was so difficult. I was like, I had no idea it was gonna be this hard. I was like, come on, Tanner, why didn't you tell me? But
Yeah.
I was like, I can't have to focus on something. I needed something to focus on. And I said, you know what? I'm digging my heels in. And I could have dug my heels into anything. This is just what I happened to choose at that time. So that in that sense, they did help because I wouldn't have stuck around. However, when it comes to like nowadays with emotions in general, some things will kind of piss me off with the charts. Like it'll happen from time to time, especially when I'm not seeing it right. But again, you get some space, look at it a different way. You're like, okay, I get what's going on. You know, like you'll have a certain set of mistakes you make, and when you can kind of catalog those, you can just be like, oh no, it's just that thing, and it helps dismiss it. But yeah, I try to be very unemotional with taking trades. I don't feel a certain way like in a trade anymore or anything like that. Like I could have any trade on, and I feel fine. You know, I'm not too concerned about that. But there's a huge difference between ability to do something and like predictable outcomes, meaning trying to like force it and go as hard as you can. It's great. Like you might be able to have some massive winning days. We've all been there. Like you'll have a moment where you're like, how is this possible? But it doesn't mean that's predictable. Doesn't mean that's sustainable. And it comes at a cost, you know, it resets your baseline. So being as unemotional as possible with the charts matters a lot. It's so much more important to have a set daily routine, a set trading routine, than it is to feel a certain way. It'd be better to feel nothing almost when you trade.
Mhm. I love how you said that, control input, because
Yeah.
I think what you said has been said, and I've heard it many times before, like reduce your trades. But
Mhm.
saying control your input, that hits differently for me at
Right.
least. And why? Because I never, when I tried to place trade restrictions on myself, I always I ended up getting frustrated and I would break free of them. They felt more like a restriction, and clearly I
Yep.
don't do well with that. But when
Mhm.
you're talking about control your input, it's like a different way for your mind to take in that information and to make that change needed. So I really love how you said that. But my question is, do I need to stop drinking coffee?
No, I love coffee.
Okay,
Caffeine makes you
hold on.
focus.
Well, I will say this: in the morning, when I first started out with trading, when I would drink coffee in the morning and do all that stuff, I did notice it influenced my ability to like sit and focus. I think
Yeah.
at this point, not necessarily. I would be a little cautious with later in the afternoon. If you're doing the morning, it's fine. As it is right now, I don't happen to drink any caffeine before I trade, but that's just because I don't really think about it at this point. If
Mm,
I'm trading in the afternoon, I shouldn't really be drinking caffeine because there's this decrease in baseline like discipline or just don't you're fatigued, so your decisions are going
mhm.
to be more fatigued, so you shouldn't have motivation while fatigued, you know, like you should take it chill during that time. So I'd be cautious during like later in the afternoon or evening, but the morning, no, go for it. Coffee's fine. Water
Okay,
is super important
good
though.
answer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would do water.
Electrolytes.
Yeah,
electrolyte.
slam 32 ounces of water, do some element tabs. Like that's kind of what I go for in the morning. That's like my
Yeah, no.
optimal routine.
I,
Electrolytes
st-
before anything else.
I still want a drink company to sponsor this podcast. That's the only people that I'm like down for sponsoring this is like some kind of drink company, because as traders, like we've all decided we don't want to sway people anyway to like prop firms or anything like that.
Mm.
But if I could fucking sell some element electrolyte, I would do that no problem, because we all need that. That's a good thing for all of us, get sponsored by a water company. I'm all on
Mm.
board.
For real. Yeah.
Quickly back to that
Nice water
conversation
company.
on inputs and all that stuff. It was actually I wanted to bring it up today. Was I saw a reel the other day. Thomas might have seen it too. It was on David Capablanca's Instagram. Oh, Thomas doesn't have Instagram anymore.
Thomas.
But anyways, it was everybody knows who Kevin O'Leary is, right?
Yes.
So Kevin O'Leary was on Diary of a
Diary of
CEO.
CEO.
Yeah. And he's talking about he used to work for Steve Jobs back in the day.
Mm.
And he was saying how Steve Jobs taught him this thing, and it was kind of like the 80-20 rule, but it was just signal versus noise.
Yep.
And understanding that we need to focus on the signal and cut out the noise. And he even said the noise could be spending time with your family, or returning an email, or checking a text message. And he was just trying to explain, if you get to a point where you can focus on the signal, and I'm doing this kind of with the 2-minute chart. That's why I say the 1 minute is noisy.
Yeah.
Because I can't focus on, and until I heard Nick, actually, the guy that that trades the scalping strategy, he enters on the 5-minute, manages on a 2-minute. That's the way he does it. And I've been trying to look at it, and it's actually helping me see things clear. But he was just explaining how, if we can just focus and hone in on the signals and kind of let go of the noise, it's kind of like the input, how Christian is saying it's the inputs are really important. And I think when you focus on the signal and less noise, you'll start to see things clear, whether it's trading, life in general. And then even he went off to say, he's like, somebody like Elon Musk is 100% signal. He's no noise. That's why he is so laser focused, and like there's like no emotion half the time. You don't know if that guy's a robot for all we know, right?
He cuts out his kids. He cuts out all the noise.
There's no noise. It doesn't exist.
No noise.
He's got 12 wives and 15 kids. Like there's no noise.
Yeah.
Like if I had 12 wives and 15 kids, I'd be a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. It limits your reactivity if you're focused on signal over noise. With trading especially, I first started out 1 minute chart, like everyone else. I'd be very reactive to every fluctuation. And, the student you were bringing up a second ago, he's the same way. He sees one candle flip the opposite way and he's ready to kill the trade. At this point, I understand that moves of the biggest degree happen on the highest time frame. There is that effect where it cascades into the bigger ones, and everything's on one time frame, if you will. One time frame means a term and like market profile and things of that nature. But when you have a strong location, you can cut out a lot of the noise by just deferring to the big brother 5 minute, 15 minute, and just trusting, it needs to move around. Think about it. A 5 minute candle, it might be that big, but it takes 5 1 minute candles to stay inside that little box. And it's like, it has to move sideways. That's part of it. One thing that came up with earlier this year was, think of the concept of like a hammer or a pin bar, right? Everyone's seen, the candlestick pattern, just, the candle. On a 30-minute chart, it's just a little box of consolidation for the 1 minute and one sweep lower. So it has to kind of go sideways for 30 minutes. If you're expecting a big reversal, you need to allow for that kind of stuff. And signal is what you're looking at on the bigger time frame. Noise is thinking that one candlestick on the 1 minute really invalidated your trade. It's everything. As I've, continue to get older, I realized, like, as a kid, you take everything to heart. Like someone's like, you're stupid or whatever in kindergarten or something. You're like, no, I'm not. It's like nowadays people can say anything. You're just like, you don't even respond. Like I noticed that people say stuff in like jokes or whatever, and I'd like in conversation, and I don't even respond. Like, it doesn't register. And I think about it later. I'm like, oh, okay. That now I start to understand where like people's perspective comes from. Because it's not important. You don't need to acknowledge everything. You don't need to react. Signal is what matters.
Love that. Love that. Which, funnily enough, I think Thomas, Randy, and I have all switched over to the 2 minute or 5 minute this week.
Literally just this week.
Yes.
Because I was that guy who was like, damn, this 1 minute candle, this is a 5.1 minute candle. We hadn't moved anywhere, and then it just sweeps lower, and then you exit, and then it goes right back up.
Yes.
You get all flipped out. And for me, I was just like, I am too reactive to the charts. I'm good with my entries, and then I'm too reactive with my trade management. And I was like, you know what? Oh, let's go to the 5 minute. Then I start back testing the 5 minute. I'm like, I don't have pattern recognition on this 5 minute like I do on the 1 minute. Okay, let's do the 2 minute. That means I'm making half the amount of decisions I'm making on the 1 minute. So I'm like, that's a huge win in of itself already, and just gonna help clear the noise. Because it's so stupid. The 1 minute candles, you get so sucked into it.
Right?
Well, I think when Christian said that, and it literally, I just ran it through my mind how many times I've said, and Thomas just said it too, a pin or a wick or a candle on a 1 minute, and in my head I'm like, oh, that invalidated my trade.
Oh, and yeah. And maybe I want to go the other way now.
Yeah. And when you really think,
that's the worst habit people have.
Yes.
The fact that so if you're wrong, that doesn't immediately mean you get to reverse and somehow be right. No, just because you reverse your thought doesn't make you right all of a sudden. It is such a knee-jerk reaction that people have.
And what's the reverse button for?
Yeah,
Trading.
Project X, I take that thing off.
Yeah.
I don't have it on there. It's just I have flatten, buy and sell. You can adjust in the settings.
Oh, that's cool.
It's the worst thing you can do. It's like
Yeah.
there's very few times where I'm like, oh, actually, you know what? I am completely on the wrong side, buying a breakout, and I'll take the reversal, if you will, the fake out of it. But yeah, a lot of it comes from, you know, you care a lot about what you're doing. So the 1 minute you're like, I need to be super on point, like I'm going to be responsible and I'm going to, you know, interpret info. You care a lot. If you had that same chart, but you were like, I got to go make breakfast, just leave it, it would probably work out better for you. And that's something I realized, because I'll have trades that I forget about. I'm like, oh, and then it just like does really good. And it's that learned indifference. I don't know if you guys have noticed that, where the less you care about something, the better it kind of works in your favor. Like you have to have that responsible indifference. You can't be like in love with it, right?
I wish that worked with my kids. They just took care of themselves because I just didn't care as much.
They're like, hey,
try that. See what happens.
Yeah, I can try it.
You can be the test pilot.
No, I love that. Learned indifference is very cool. And that, do you think that's learned over time? Like, I was wondering about this, like emotional, how you're so much less emotionally charged. Do you think that is a skill that we get over time because we look at the charts every day? We put ourselves in the position of a trade every day.
Yeah, it's exposure. It's from time, and also like exposure to like really adverse scenarios in trading. Like, you know, when you'll take like gut wrenching losses and you're like, I don't think I could ever lose that big. And then, you know, a year later you take an even bigger loss and you're like, I didn't even think that was possible. It really desensitizes you to a lot of things where, or if you just like go on like any sort of like crazy over trading, you get to it where you're kind of like you're like physically like done for, like you don't have a care in the world. Those experiences have kind of showed me what it's like to be like not detached, right? I might have a super red day and I'm just like going through it, just over trading, desensitized, and then I make it all back at the end. And I was, you know, talking to this trading psychologist. I'm like, why would that be the case? And he's like, because you don't have the energy to try anymore. You're just interpreting it. You're not letting your ego get in the way of the chart. And I go, okay, that's interesting. So that learned indifference is a result, that idea, at least for me, came from those experiences, but then also just from times where genuinely you know, there's been multiple instances before like a big like NFP or something like that, where like maybe I'm hanging out with friends the night before and I wake up and I'm super like tired and like a little hungover. And I'm like, I don't feel like I'm thinking. And I'm like, but I see the chart and it's super obvious. And I'm just like, and it's just the best trade ever. And I'm like, huh. So I think there's some college.
I feel that's so hard
about that. He's like, I felt like I played better hungover. And it's like, it's because we kind of get out of our own way, especially anybody who's got like a bigger ego or anyone who's like highly neurotic, you know, just everyone's got their things. But if you're a little bit mental, it's like, it's good to kind of get yourself out of thinking about it, because you'll come up with a reason to change your mind and do all this other stuff. So
yeah, Thomas, you should definitely speak on this, because you've had that. And I know because we've followed your journey, but you've talked about overthinking things and running into that wall of like you're overthinking things and then not trading as well because of it.
I mean, what you said about I just looked at the chart. I'm like, that's my setup. And I go and take it. I just told you guys about it. I was like, I was sitting watching Wimbledon I think it was the last podcast. I was watching Wimbledon. I pull up their stream to just see what the price action looked like. And I go, that candle that's my setup. I had woken up an hour ago. I was like not in it, but I went, clicked the button, let it do its thing, didn't touch the trade, hit my take profit. Like for me, another thing Evan told me at Tampa, he was like, you know, you have too much experience at this point to be like thinking about it so much. At some level, it's just thoughts of analysis. That's at the end of the day, the overthinking is over analyzing the charts and finding something else to either sway you into your trade more or out of your trade. And both don't help you. Like you made the most logical possible decision when you entered the position, especially if you haven't taken a trade that day. You're at your clearest logic, and that's when you enter. That was your best choice. Anything else in between, especially when it's not about the trade management, like following your rules, and about something else, it just doesn't help. Like there was a quote I heard. It was, oh shoot, it was like something like overthinking is the worst thing that humans do, because taking action is the only thing that matters. And in trading, if you're not taking action, your job is to wait and not overthink.
Hesitation really does kill. So it's, you have the stimulus and you have your response, and whatever happens between it is where you fuck up. That's as simple as
Exactly.
it gets. I tell people when they go, man, I have to do that later. I have to call this person later. I go, why don't you do it right now, so you don't not do it? Anytime I think of something I need to do, I do it because I will forget, and it'll be weeks before I get to it. I'm like, let me just do it right now, because then it's done. But yeah, thinking is too much neuroticism, overly active chatter of the mind. It's really like you're like kind of being crazy. Like even like Alan Watts talks about that stuff. He's like, you don't need to just constantly just be like in your head. You think about it. How many times you'll see like oh, are you mad at me? It's like because the girl's just like overthinking the scenario, and it's like, what?
Classic
I'm
girl.
not even thinking.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And
Classic.
that's what we do. That's what we do to the charts. We do the same
Yeah.
thing. We're like, are you sure? Are you sure you're not trying to go up right now? Like,
Yeah.
it's just like falling off a cliff. You're like, wait.
It's always wanting the right outcome. It's when
Yeah.
you're overthinking, it's always about the outcome and being right and being a winner and like all this stuff that you just don't even know is going into it.
It's not a profitable habit. Thinking isn't trading. What are you thinking about? You should trade. It's
No, you gotta be,
And the best trades that I've ever taken, I've like thought the least about. Like from some of the craziest dip buys I've done, where I'll wake up like middle of the night and see like Ethereum at like just insanely low levels. I'm buying, and then I like wake up a couple hours later. I'm like, wait, what did I do? And I'm like looking, I see my notification, like, oh, and not too bad. Like it's just instinct. It's, you see charts, you pull up whatever. There'll be times during Asia where you're watching like a Super Bowl or something. You open your phone, you're like, this is a buy. I'm in. But that comes with experience for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I think we could all say after a year and a half, 2 years, we all have a level of instinct. And it's not like instinct is some super far-fetched thing that only 5 years into it, 10 years into it, you do get it pretty early on.
Instinct develops, and you get the opportunity to execute that on really extreme scenarios, such as something like, what we saw in April. April was an insane opportunity to buy stocks. I bought a lot, it needed to work. I wasn't comfortable with it not working. Let's just say that, but it did. And it's because it was too clean of an opportunity for me to ignore. Like I had to throw everything at it, and it's working just fine. I've had some stocks up 100% from that. Like it was just the opportunity to do it. And then market leading stocks as well are leading the ways. So yeah.
Kind of on what Thomas just said about like being in the second year of trading. I think for me, and I think for a lot of people, and I like that we even use the word instinct, because I'm trying to hone in on this instinct now, where the technical analysis is there. I can look at the chart, I can say this, but now it's, getting rid of the chatter, getting rid of the noise, and finding the signal, and then using the technical analysis to be like, okay, this is going to be my bias. And now I can get everything, all the background noise out of my head, enter, be okay with taking a loss, be okay with taking a win, either way. And I think right now with what I'm doing with just a hard stop at 3 points, and I know I'm down $150, worst case scenario, I know it's tight, but I know that I should be on the winning side of that trade more than I'm on the losing side. And it goes to show again, this week I'm still up, right? And I've had 2 losing days, 2 winning days. And I think now it's like honing in on that intuition and that instinct, and tweaking that versus being like, oh, I need to put this indicator on. I need to actually probably take some stuff off of my chart so I can And it's funny because Nick took a trade on Monday, and I told Christine, I'm like, I guarantee you he took this trade, and I'm like, it's rejecting the news VWAP or the news VWAP and the New York VWAP. And Nick took the trade, and all Nick has on his chart is one VWAP, the New York VWAP, and that's it. Nothing else. There's not another indicator on his chart. And either if he's below it, he's shorting it, or if it's above it, he's looking for a long. That's it. And it goes to show that less sometimes is more. But for some people, like Christian said, I got 5 monitors. And I don't need 5 monitors. 2 of them are travel ones. I just why not use them? I have them anyways. But I have something for each monitor. But it's like I've traded successfully in Tampa with just my laptop.
I trade with my phone all the time. I'm not even.
I can't do that. I think that's crazy.
I never thought I would, but like,
I can manage a trade from my phone. I can never enter a trade from my phone.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think I got more comfortable with it as I started to just manage like portfolios and stuff from my phone, because I used to just do everything online. But I'm like, I could just set up all my recurring buys here. It's easier. And then I'm like, I could just technically trade from here as well. So I've been doing that a little bit, mostly since I've moved. So that's another thing. We talk about spaces and stuff like that. Transition periods, definitely don't underestimate them. You'll be way more disoriented than you think. It's the mindset of it, the newness of everything. I was like, okay, I'm about to move into this new house. It's a good opportunity to set good habits, right? Whatever, it's a fresh start. The opposite's true too. You can set bad habits. Like both can happen. And I had no clue. I was like, okay. And yeah, you just lose discipline. So that stuff matters a lot as well when it comes to preparation. But what you trade from, I mean, as long as it's not from just the 1 minute by itself, like you have some sort of awareness, you talk indicators. I enjoy some. I like VWAP, but I really do love time frames. I love time frames. I'm always thinking about what the next time frame looks like. I have way more time frames than you would think for 2 charts. I'll have different tabs where one chart might have 6 time frames on that one square for it, because I have like the indicator that has time frames, and it helps me visualize like, okay, this is what that 5 minute period or like increment looks like on a candlestick. So that's orientation, super important. Without that, like you really can have all the screens in the world, and it just won't do too much. But it is nice, it is nice when stuff's easy to use. I prefer like having a nice user interface. So for me, it's like harder to use like a PC, so I'd struggle with that. But Mac, I could trade very well on here because I can integrate with all my devices. Just share my screenshots, journal here, read it there. So that's also a big edge. Edge isn't just strategy. It's how you are as a person. You can have habits that have statistical edge over other people. Waking up earlier is an edge. Being in a time zone that is easy to trade is an edge. But living in California, that's a bit of a detriment compared to
Thomas.
All 3 of us, actually.
Yeah.
But
I'm in the right time zone right now.
Yeah, Christine's in the best time zone. But on that note, let's wrap it up. I feel like we gave everyone like a whole trading plan. If you go back, like there's like a whole trading plan in here that you could assemble from this. But is there any final thoughts that you have, Christian? Anything that's you've been thinking about a lot that you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, something I have thought about a lot lately is people want to rush the journey, rush the process, because they go, okay, then I get there, and then I could start living, basically. That's what it's always something. Then I could do this, then I could do that. And having gone through that path, it just makes me realize, like, I could have enjoyed it more. Like, I could have been more present. I'm on stream thinking, someone asked, like, that question. I'm like, that second year was honestly like my favorite when it came to trading, because it was like right there, but it wasn't. It was just like, it was so exciting. And then now it's like, I already know how to do this. It's not novel. It's not a challenge. And that's where some of the problems come from, is when we think we need that novelty instead of what is statistically more likely to play out over time. And yeah, just enjoy it. You're not going to all of a sudden, oh, I'm profitable, now my life changes. It's like, you could, maybe if you haven't ever like came into a lot of money at some point, you get a lot of money in your bank account, it does change you. You start spending like a maniac. But at this point, like, most people should understand, like, an extra 20 grand in your bank account outside of basic needs, like, it's not going to do anything for you. you're not going to feel different. You're not going to immediately be a better person or cooler or this or that. So that void that people seek to try to fill, money isn't going to do it. You need to have purpose. So that's why I tell people just enjoy the process, because this is just a little method for us to make money, right? The market, that's all it is. It's a little vending machine that prints out dollar bills for us.
Yeah.
Those are food coupons. Sure, they buy you experience, but ultimately cultivating good people around you is going to matter way more, because if you don't have a good circle, like, you're never going to hang on to any of that money you have. So that's kind of where I'm coming from on that last one.
Love that. That was a great message.
If I could just quickly ask Christian one more question. I'll be quick,
Yeah.
I promise. I know we're going over time, but Christian, if there's one, I'm on this whole reading thing right now. I've never read books in my life, but I started trading, I started reading books, and I read a lot of advice books, Atomic Habits and health books and stuff like that. And I just got into The Best Loser Wins. And now I got another book that Lawrence recommended next on the docket. But if there's one book and only one book you could recommend, psychology, strategy, technical analysis, I don't give it, weightlifting, whatever it is, what is a book that you recommend that everybody should read?
Oh, that's tough. I have like 5 I can think of. I like books a lot. One book that I will recommend, as a general recommendation to everybody, because it's one of the first books that I started reading when I went on that journey of trading. It's called The One Thing. I went into a random bookstore and I saw it. I'm like, that looks cool. Grabbed it. Great book. The One Thing. The whole premise is along the lines of, you might have a million things to do, but what's that one thing, like that one specific thing, one change, one thing that will push you the furthest, that will move the needle the most? And dial in on that. That's it. Like, what is the one thing that will facilitate the most change to get you towards your idealized goal? That's the premise. So I like that one a lot. That's a good one.
Cool. And that's the one by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan.
I'm sure it is. I actually,
it's the one thing. It's the one book that's coming out.
There's like a one on the title. It's called The One Thing. It's a really good book though. I like that one a lot.
Love it. We'll have to link it below.
Cool. Yeah, that'll be in the description.
Alrighty, guys. Yeah, thank you.
Well, thanks for listening through.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks so much,
Appreciate having
Christian,
you
for
here.
coming on.
Guys.
Appreciate it.